bending with meditations.
Oh, spoon bending.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's really empowering for people because they'll say, oh, if I can bend spoons, I can do anything. So
Wow. I had a
it's
neighbor
really,
who used to do that, and
Mhm.
I was, I'd collect old forks and knives, just
Yeah,
imagine bend.
I know the people at the thrift stores know me now because I keep going in and buying spoons for them to bend.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, and I have like people the next day. They send me pictures of all their utensils at home, and then they're like, my husband said I can't bend anymore.
I know what to do with my old utensils.
Yeah, so that's and then I do in the last course in the mind section I talk about dreams and how to have lucid dreams
Wow.
and out of body experiences, and then we talk about the research on near-death experiences because it's kind of a continuum,
Right.
and the comparison between near-death experiences and then out-of-body experiences and lucid dreams.
We're going to go into a little bit about this a little bit more. We're just doing a top off so you
Okay.
know what we're talking about for the next 45 minutes. And then we're going to have a meditation. Dana's going to lead in a meditation.
So do you want me to finish?
Yep,
with the course?
yep,
Okay.
we're just going to finish with the course.
So with that course, the last section is a soul revitalization. So the first class, I teach people how to see auras, and then we do a lot of really fun exercises with auras where people can tell if someone's lying or if they're telling the truth.
Ooh,
or
be careful.
If they're saying negative things or if they're positive, how they feel about things, and then also
Excellent.
like the colors and auras. So all the students can do that. And then we do energy healing, so they have an experience like they learn how to tune into the different vibrations of each other, and they do little tests on each other, and it's really affirming because they can pick up on the same areas on each person.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then we do introduction to like intuition and a little bit of psychic work. And then the last class we have a potluck and we bring horses in and people get to work with the horses.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's an amazing
and not
course.
only that is that it sounds so transforming. Like everything that you mentioned, bending forks. Let's just start with a little bit. There's other things that she's going to be teaching too, like with the continuous breath work, meeting angelic guides, relationships.
So that's my 5-week meditation
That's
series.
the meditation
And
series,
so
yeah.
then I do different meditations, like 5 different kinds of meditations.
Right.
And so one of them is the breath meditation, which
Right.
which I find quite powerful.
I've taken that and I thought,
Yeah.
oh my God, I couldn't even get off the floor. I was just like,
It's quite incredible. Like,
Yeah.
who would think that breath is that powerful?
and just breathing in, breathing out, but taking them deep breaths in. And I think also you're having your energy come along really makes the difference also. So those sound really great. So let's start with talking a little bit about who you are.
Okay.
Now that we know what we're going to talk about, we're just going to let Dana explain who she is a little bit here.
Sure. So I have a business called Laughing Oak Cottage. It's in Pincha Creek area. And it's a holistic center where I offer these classes and private services. And we're really about empowering people to learn about energy and revitalization and just explore new things they may not have experienced before.
Wow. And you are educated also, right? Can we talk a little bit about your background in education?
Yes, so I have a degree in psychology. So I did quite a bit of research in my undergrad, my thesis, and
Right.
And then I actually went in and did my MBA, my master's in business.
Wow.
And
That's a little different than
I
what
know.
it's a little
I know.
different. But it helps.
And I also have a background in IT, so I worked in the IT field for quite a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is a lot of use of your mind in your
I like to learn things,
Yeah.
and I think that's one reason I love all this energy work, because I find it's sort of an untapped field, and there's a lot of exploration to be done, but there's also a lot of confirmation and clear. You can, I love it when skeptical people take my courses, because I love it when they go home and they're like, wow, that was amazing.
It is.
And
It
so
is.
to me it's really important, like if nothing else, through doing the education part of my life, I really realized it's so important to be able to back what you're doing with, research and science and
Right.
and other areas like that.
But the most important thing is, though, that you are helping people to find who they are, is what I think is what when I listen to that, I believe that we are all this superpower human beings, and we haven't tapped that.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's like ancient, like Atlantean and knowledge that you think that these people, they had all these beautiful things, and then whenever, whether it be an asteroid or whatever happened, it knocked out all of that knowledge. But
I don't know too much about the
well, they really had a lot of knowledge going on back in history. So to be revitalizing it and bringing it back up, because we're all humans here, and our brains, we're not just it's not junk DNA for one thing.
Yes, that's true.
I believe that our DNA wants us to know who we are.
Oh, I think so too.
And I think everything you just described here. So let's start with the first thing you said there, the revitalization course with
yes.
with what was the first thing we started with, the body?
There's body, mind, and soul. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, you talked about the body.
Okay.
You said something that your body will tell you what you should be eating?
Yeah, so it's just
Okay.
like we start right away. Well, the first class, we eat a lot.
Oh.
And so it's
Those are
just
fun classes.
a big part of, because a big part of energy is like this connection and the
Right.
energy that goes between people, and it is about like empowering and creating those relationships, and I would say a lot of the people in my classes, that's one of the things they love the most, is the community that they learn to develop. And
it's so important to make those bonds with human beings that are like-minded, and because everybody has their own weight, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And so by bringing things up, you learn something from everybody.
You do.
And no matter if they're highly educated or not,
Oh, for sure.
they might have their own special way of doing things, and you can learn just a little bit from everybody.
Oh, absolutely. So the body section in the food is really just tuning into having your body tell you what nutrients are good for us. Because if you look at a nutrient list on a grocery package, or even some really specialized things, goes right down into the amino acids, and you need a whole science degree to understand what all those things are. So how could you say, oh, my body needs these omega whatevers, and
Right.
or amino this or that, which I don't even know what they all are.
So it's just like experimenting constantly.
Well, it's a way to have your body. It's a way to tune into your body and have your body say, "This is something that I need."
Okay, a way to tune into your body. Does that lead into the next part?
Yeah, so there's a couple more body classes, but yeah, that's one of the ones that people really enjoy, is the food one. And then, do you want me to go more into the body one?
Yeah, sure.
Mind?
Just let's go a little bit more with the body, and like how would your body tell you? Like you said, your body will tell you what you should be eating.
Yes, but you have to take the class.
Okay.
That.
So take the class.
It'll take me too long to get into all the details,
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But just putting it out there that your
but
body knows what you need.
Your body knows what you need, and your body actually can be quite vocal when you have things that isn't going well. Like, just for example, like the tension that we get in our neck when we're under stress.
Right. The shoulder pain.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So people hold that pain in their shoulders, and so sometimes that can come from like certain belief systems, or the stress, or anxiety. There's different things that we're holding, and that's just one example.
Right.
Or people who hold their heart closed.
Right.
Because
they're protecting their heart.
But that can create some other issues because you're cutting your heart off, and so then it can develop other types of tension and hypertension, and so it's just, that's what the body mapping is about what parts of your body hold certain types of energies and beliefs.
So when you go in and you release these, locate this, this physical pain that you have, you locate it, and then you connect it to what might have been a trauma maybe in your life, or some sort of a stress, or maybe you're carrying the burdens, or maybe a belief system. Yeah. Maybe you've done something and you're carrying guilt, and working through that.
Yeah.
That's amazing to be able to I know myself, I had a lot of stress and pain at a point in my life. And, I went to an angel therapist, and that's what I am, as an angel empowerment practitioner. And I went and I was relieved of 10 years of pain in one night.
Isn't that
and
incredible?
it never came back.
Yes.
So I know that this works. I know that this is an amazing work that you're doing. That's why I'm so happy you're here, Dana.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was next?
Okay, so one of the things that I think is really important, and probably because I do have a background in psychology,
Right.
but we do take one course and we really focus on false cognitive beliefs. And I believe that everybody has false beliefs that they develop in childhood, and it can also be created through trauma.
Right. And I think everybody has it at some point in their life. Nobody has a perfect life.
No, and even like if you look at this, if you look at a baby, so babies are egocentric. And so if a mother comes in, and it could be Mother Teresa, it could be the most perfect mother in the world. It could be like Mary Poppins, and so she comes in and she's in a bad mood because something happened. Maybe her car got stuck. And then the baby sees this mother who's unhappy, and they internalize it because to them, they are the center of the world. So they feel they've caused this at some level. And they can then make the association like, I'm a bad baby, or I did something. And that belief system starts way before the baby even has a cognitive understanding of how it develops these beliefs. And
Wow.
so every person has some beliefs, and I feel that's part of our life journey is figuring out where our sensitivities are and helping and getting rid of them, because it's part of our journey.
And, I do believe that also we come into this world with DNA that is carrying track records of our families, our families' track records. Yes. And that that's almost like coming in with an agenda. Like, you've got to heal the agenda when you're, just like, I just came from seeing my granddaughter, and she's, I don't think she's even 7 pounds yet. She's only 2 weeks old.
Oh,
I know, thank you. I know,
That's
she's
so
just a
exciting.
darling. I know.
Yeah, that's totally exciting.
So this talk about the baby, and I know that we had Robin Gibb on last week, and she is a brain neurologist at the university here, and she was talking how important it is, even in the father's role, and how the DNA changes, and but not only in the DNA, but if you can go into a spirit level and start expanding, I think that's really when the human growth starts.
Yes.
Is when you acknowledge it and you learn about it. So that is with your body thing. And you know what? There's stuff that happens to us in our lives that has really not our fault at all.
Absolutely.
And
I would say most of our experiences and belief systems are developed before we have even an understanding of how we develop.
right.
And then where we take responsibility is in acknowledging that we might have belief systems within us
Right.
that cause us to be extra sensitive. And so if you're pointing the finger outwards at other people, then you're avoiding looking inside and
Yeah.
dealing with what's happening inside yourself.
I know Joanne Bean always tells me if you're pointing your finger forward, you've got 3 fingers pointing
Yes.
back. So you
True.
better be evaluating yourself before you go judging other people.
Well, it's
And-
wasting your time, right?
Yeah.
It's wasting your time to look at other people when you could potentially get rid of your own sensitivities, and then it wouldn't bother you anymore.
Right. So say people have things like jealousy issues. What is that like? Can that be dealt with in a spiritual, like, how would you help somebody through that?
Well, to me, jealousy is actually a little bit more of a psychological issue, because that's why I say it's like body, mind, and soul.
Right.
Because we're not just one.
So now we're going
aspect.
into the psychology part.
So to me, the jealousy tends to come from an insecurity within, where you don't feel like you're good enough or you're valuable enough. And so then when you're with someone, the jealousy comes from the fact that you feel that person will be drawn to someone else, because you don't
Right.
feel you're up to par, and so you feel like someone else will go elsewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have to work on yourself then. If you're jealous, then you need to do some self-work.
Yes.
So,
Otherwise, you become controlling.
oh, well.
Right?
Don't want controlling.
Because if you are
And
trying
restricting.
to tell someone, yes,
And being
if
restricting.
you're saying don't talk to this person, don't look at these people, don't dress this way, don't do all that, those are all controlling tendencies.
And how
'Cause
can
you're-
you grow and be who you are when somebody's trying to hold you down?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or you're holding other people down.
Or or if it's you
Yeah.
who's holding somebody
Yeah.
down, if you're the jealous one,
Yeah.
realize that you're not letting that person grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's valuable information there too, because I think a lot of people
I
have
think
that.
A lot of people are jealous.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's tough.
So,
okay, and then we move to.
do you want mind? Do you want
yeah.
to spend more time on mind?
Are we
Or
okay?
do you want to work to meditations?
Let's go with a little bit more about the mind, body, soul.
The soul. Okay.
The soul. Let's go to the soul.
So I start kind of doing a transition between mind and soul by going into the dream work.
Ooh.
So we talk about the value of dreams. Like, dreams are really important, and then you look at things like REM cycles, which is a psychological thing again. But then a lot of people start moving into lucid dreaming. So that's when you're dreaming, but you have control of your dreams.
Right.
And then that can transition a little bit further where you actually can leave your body and be aware of things outside of yourself when you're dreaming. And that becomes out-of-body experiences. And so now we're starting to look at...
I'm familiar with all of those. I do all of those things. Yeah, and I have been doing them all my life.
Mm-hmm. And many people are, but they don't remember.
I write mine down every morning. I've got books, stacks of books.
And that's an excellent tool, and it's a good...
I got a big tattoo of a chili pepper the other day. I was thinking, what is that? Then I thought, well, maybe I just trying to be warm.
Spicy.
I was being spicy and warm the other day, and I got a big tattoo of a chili pepper on my arm, which I swear I would never do. But in my dream, I woke up going, oh my God, a chili pepper,
Maybe you like the band.
I do actually. I don't mind them. But so so you start with, did you say dreaming or?
Yeah. So then we transition from the mind into the spiritual soul type work, because then you're talking about your physical body and you're talking about your energetic body. Because once you start having out of body experiences, that's your energetic body that's going out and exploring and seeing things, and there's a lot that can happen in that state. And then there's your sleeping physical body.
Right.
And then if you transition even further, that's where you look at people, and there's tons of scientific research around near-death experiences.
Yes, I've had Lynn Russell on before. She's amazing with that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so that's just one step further, where when you're having out-of-body experiences in your dream, you come back into your body. And when you have near-death experiences, you typically, they clinically are dead, and then they're brought back to life, but their energetic body has left their physical body, and they bring the experience back. And because so much of the experiences, like thousands and thousands of people who've had this kind of thing happen, have reported similar experiences, then they started documenting them and seeing that there's actually proof, because people who would never know about each other, like a child.
So the similarities, there's a collectiveness about what happens when you die.
Yeah.
I do have a bunch of information on that with Lynn Russell, is one of my, she was on earlier last fall. Just in a couple months ago, she was on, and she's got a new book coming out too, and she has over 2,500 interviews with people who have died and come back. But getting back to the dreaming, so say somebody is having bad dreams, how do they help themselves?
Well, probably again, it's probably better to take the course, because I could spend an hour talking about bad dreams.
Somebody's here and they have nightmares. What would be just a simple word of advice, is what I'm saying. Is because I know people who have nightmares, and they have this reoccurring vision that happens over and over, and they don't understand it.
Well, it depends because some people will have premonition dreams that happen over and over again, and those tend to be very, very clear. Very clear. And so
you can tell the grass, the weather, the time, the date, the place, a lot of people before 9/11 had. I did. I drew pictures of it and everything. Yeah, and then same with there'll be people like a lot of people will miss a plane that crashed, or that didn't go on the Titanic, or
disasters where they realize there's a higher percentage of cancellations
Right.
ahead of time, unexpected cancellations. So
Yeah, I know my dad saved his life a few times, just walked off a bus and said no, and then that day his whole crew was killed. So
I always say, always listen
he
to your
walked home.
intuition.
Yeah, me too. I know I'm very big on intuition, and I think that's one of the things to learn. If you do have a repeating dream, or if you have a dream that something bad is going to happen, don't do what you planned that day. Do something a little bit different. Go out of your way to not do that same route. Or, if you always take the same route and you had a dream you were going to have a car accident that day, go a different way. I mean, not saying no, don't go out. I'm saying, but try it a little bit differently. Be conscious of what you're doing, that kinds of things.
I think it's always good to listen to your intuition no matter what.
Right.
I know that most people have had some experience where they're walking down the street and they felt someone watching them. And so every single person is capable of tuning into their intuition if they don't ignore it.
And I think that goes with your aura thing too, right? Like
looking at auras
and feeling the aura of somebody coming to you.
The energy, for sure. Being sensitive to energy. One thing though is when people dream, when they're in the REM state, that's the closest state to being awake. And REM helps us process a lot of emotions.
Okay.
That's one of the things that happens is you're processing events throughout the day. And so if people are having a bad dream and the emotional state is high, it can kick them out of REM and they can wake up. And that's why a lot of people remember their bad dreams.
Okay.
And so I think it's really important to take the time to look at your bad dream and assess, is this coming from stress at work? Is this, am I under a lot of pressure? Did I have some emotional stuff happen? Am I breaking up with my partner? So I think sometimes
or work or anything,
it can be a life event that's causing us to have recurring dreams, because if every time you go into REM and you're not, and it's highly emotional and it's getting bounced out and you're turning it into a nightmare, because then you go from your dream state to your awake state, and sometimes your cognitive mind will kick in and create a story to go with the emotions.
Wow.
So
And there we go. That's what a dream is. Your brain is making up a story for you to understand all the junk in your life.
I do think that's why I say it's a whole class about it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just nightmares might not be a premonition.
Okay, so let's jump to then
Soul.
To soul. So it's like the out of body. Just for touch on the out of body. I do out of body. I'm not in control of it.
Okay.
But I know when it's happening.
Yeah.
And it is before I fall asleep, and I'm not sure if I'm asleep or not, because I've had out of body, looked at the clock and it says 11:01, and I've gone on a full journey, come back and it still says 11:01.
Yeah, that's kind of neat, isn't it?
Yeah, because I've just done a whole bunch of stuff. I'm pretty sure I'm not asleep. And I come back and I find, it's difficult to get back in the body if you don't. I have to be, like when I come back, I have to, if I'm sleeping like this with my hands over me, if I don't do this when I lay back into my body, I can't get back. But as soon as I go back in,
I think that you can.
It locks me back in and I'm good.
I don't think you'll be locked out of your body ever.
I've tried, and I was like kicking and screaming until I realized how my body was laying, and it dropped me. But then I was also doing a mission then too. I was taken out and brought back.
One of the things that happens with people who have out-of-body experiences is it's actually harder to stay out than to have something bring you back in. So as soon as someone in their out-of-body experiences, again, emotions will often snap you right back in. Or if you're afraid, or you think, oh, I'm scared, or I'm not sure about this, and then bang, they're awake.
Right.
Or even if they're just excited. Some people be like, oh, I'm out of my body, and then all of a sudden they're back in.
Oh, I know. I used to do that when I first started. I would go to the roof. And I would be able to walk on the roof and go wow, this is really strange. And when I was a kid and would do it, it would make me start hyperventilating. And I would, I'd be afraid to close my eyes, because the moment I closed my eyes, I was being pulled out.
Oh, yeah.
So now I've also had some clients whose children do that too, where their children are afraid to fall asleep because as soon as they fall asleep, they get this feeling that somebody's trying to take their soul. So
Yeah,
what do you
scary.
what do you do with that? I ask them. I tell them to pray.
Some of the
I tell them to
questions
pray.
are not like quick answers, but
Yeah.
but you know, there's a lot to be said for that. Definitely, I don't know if you put my phone number up, but people can call me and I'd be happy to talk to anyone who's
Okay.
having issues or concerns, or if
Okay,
they go to
good.
my website, like laughingoak.com.
Okay, and we did put up the whole site,
Okay,
so everything,
so-
all the information is on Jess and Deb's
Yeah,
Den,
and so if
and I'll
anyone
share
is
it out from
having
there too.
issues or concerns or fears about dreams, or they want to talk to me about any of this stuff, then I definitely I can definitely do that and help
Yeah,
people.
yeah, your website
Yeah.
is on the advertising just before the show here.
Yeah.
If you go back on to Jess FM or Jess TV, you can catch us there. And again, we are live in Lethbridge, downtown Alberta, Canada. And I am Deb from Deb's Den, and I'm here with Dana Rest. And we're discussing some healing courses that are coming up in 2020 that Dana is going to be teaching. And it's just if you're ready and willing to start moving forward with your spirit, and I think a lot with the 2012 thing that the earth is doing a global shift. I believe that we're in a different part of the galaxy that we hit every 26,000 years, and I believe that we all get an update, and there's no really getting around it. I think we're getting nuked in the universe, and we're all getting this upgrade. And I think people need this right now. They need to understand what's going on with them.
Well,
I think
there's
there's so much work here that you've got
more
going.
than just one. Like we are not just our minds and not just our bodies and not just our souls. So I
Yes.
think that's what's really important, is just
Being able to realize that we're not just a body. We are not just a big blob of hemoglobin, that there's actually a lot more to us, and that we are actually very connected. And like you said, even with doing the community stuff, that bonding with friends and like-minded people is so valuable to somebody who spent their whole life, say, being like thinking they're an empath. Nobody loves them. Nobody understands them. They're scared to be around people because they start to feel their energies. And, I think once you learn who you are, you can start to release all that garbage.
and meeting other people who have similar experiences. I think that's really affirming, and just understanding it more.
Yeah, and that is, once you learn who you are, it's invaluable to, you can't go back. You can't unlearn it, is what's the great part, is that once you learn about yourself, and you learn about spirit, and you learn about your soul, and your mind, and your body, then people can't take that from you anymore. You become empowered.
Yeah.
And that's what I am, as an empowerment practitioner. So that's why I like sharing and having people on Jess FM, so that we can bring this to the public and help, even if we save one life, even, if we make somebody's life a little bit easier just by watching the show, it's worth it. It's worth it, even just for one person. But I'm hoping that we reach just a few more, so please like and share. We are live on YouTube right now, also on Deb's Den and Jess FM and Jess TV and the website and the free app, and the list goes on. But okay, so let's because we don't want to get into too much, because I want people to take your course, is what I want to do. Your course is located where?
I have two. I do one in Edmonton and I do one in Pinter Station.
Wow.
Yeah, by Pinter
Okay.
Creek. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now we'll go on to the breath work,
Okay.
because I've done the breath work also, if you want.
Yes.
I know we could go on for days on the stuff we just tapped on. We really could. And thank God that you're doing, you're reaching out to people with this. It's really important work, I believe. So let's go with the continuous breath work, or what is it? We have the meditative state. What is a meditative state? Which we're going to be experiencing in about 15 minutes.
Okay, so one of the things about the breath work is even our breath is that as soon as we're nervous or scared, we hold our breath. And so what happens is
You want to take a deep breath.
we become very, very good at stuffing our emotions and holding everything in. And so with the breath work, it's just a technique that is quite simple, actually, and it removes the controls on your breath.
Wow.
And so when you're breathing in a systematic, rhythmic way, without pausing, your body determines that these emotions aren't being stuffed anymore. and it often lets things start bubbling up to the surface, and it allows you to feel this emotional energy that you've been blocking. And so when you start releasing the emotional energy, you can actually release, because the blocks of the energy, sometimes it's hard to access belief systems because the energy of the emotion is so powerful.
I've experienced that. I know what you're talking about.
And so because of that, when you start releasing it actually frees you up to access the false beliefs, and then you can release those, and it's very liberating.
So false belief, are we talking like when somebody says something to you like, oh, you're stupid and ugly? Okay. And now you've got that running through your head, and you allow that belief system that you're not good enough.
Yes, exactly.
You allow that to circulate.
Yeah.
When you start breathing in and out, your body says, hey, that ain't yours.
So
is that what's going on there? Because it kind of feels like that way your body starts to, once you get oxygen going through all your blood, because you're breathing deep. Like, who knew just breathing in and out could be so effective? But it's your whole body just feels like it's lightning.
It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah. So you were asking me
so if you were traumatized, by releasing when you're doing the breath work, in the meditative state, and you're breathing in and out and breathing in and out and breathing in and breathing out, and then go slower, whatever you're doing, then you get to a point where your body starts to realize what is and isn't its energy, or yes. How do you...
Okay, so the way I explain it is that by taking the controls off your breath with the continuous breath, the technique, then your body starts to recognize that you're not stuffing emotions down. And when you're not stuffing those emotions down, they can be released. And then by feeling the emotion and letting them go instead of stuffing them down, you're actually releasing a lot of emotional energy. And the emotional energy is connected to the false beliefs, in that there's so much charged around the sadness associated with some of those beliefs, or the anger or the hurt or shame, that you often can't really access the false beliefs. Like, so for example, use the example of I'm not good enough.
Right.
So if you feel I'm not good enough, and you believe that somewhere deep in your core, it's a little bit more than just saying I'm going to tell myself every day I'm good enough. Because if the emotional energy is so strong that you can't access it.
Or that you've buried it, maybe. That you've just... Some people just want to bury it and then forget it ever existed.
There is that too. So what I'm saying is that when the emotional energy is so powerful that you can't access the belief system, the false belief, because it's too painful. Like, so if you get close to it, then you start feeling that energy of the emotions again, and then you stuff it back down, then in that way you still didn't access the belief system. But if you allow yourself to feel the emotions, and then the energy comes up and you feel it and you let it go, then you don't have all that energetic blockage locked into the belief system. And so then it's easier for you to access the belief and say, actually, I'm good enough, I'm awesome. And so it's very interesting how that dynamic happens. And so if I said to you, Deb, if I was negative and I said to you, you don't know anything about energy, like, it's kind of mean,
Yes.
But it doesn't.
I would be insulted.
But but you won't really take it personally.
No.
You would say, Dina is kind of rude, or she's in a bad mood, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. And the reason is because you don't believe it.
Right.
But if I said something like a trigger, like you're not good enough, then you might be like, because you believe it as I'm not saying you believe it.
But I understand what you're saying.
If it's a belief system that you have, and I said it, or I did something to indicate that, then I've triggered that belief system, and those emotions come up.
Right.
And then often that's when we try and push them back down.
So is it that almost makes it sound like it's not healthy to hold in negative emotions and hold in negative experiences when somebody's saying, will you share with me? And they're like never ever going to tell you anything about any of their past. They don't want to mention it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want anything to do with it at all. But then you see it sneaking out on them. in little
yeah.
pieces and getting attacks going, where is that from?
Especially if it's triggered, right?
Right.
Then,
So,
'cause
yeah,
all
so
that
say-
emotions with there.
So like say they're in a relationship and then their stuff happened, but they're not going to say anything about that relationship. And then when you do something that triggers something that happened in the past relationship, and they're not going to tell you about it, so then because they're burying it, right? And then so what happens, with those people who won't be willing to digest it, or so the breath work would help to digest stuff they don't want to talk about.
Yes, there's definitely a connection between people not wanting to talk about stuff and the breath work, because in the breath work, you don't have to discuss
Right.
experiences. And it's really a lot more about the belief systems behind the experiences than the experiences themselves. So the belief system is what creates the emotional energy and the it's sort of what gets them stuck. And the belief system is what is getting triggered.
Right.
And so, if someone was assaulted and then they feel shame,
Right.
then if they're in a situation where they're feeling something's caused them to feel shame, they're going to the shame. They're not going to the assault. And I'm shameful. That's coming up, and then that's what's being triggered, and that's what's activating the emotion.
Right.
And so it really isn't necessary in the breath work to discuss, because part of this is also subconscious.
Right.
And we form a lot of this before we even we're fully cognitive aware of how we develop those belief systems. And so you don't actually need to know where they came from. The story isn't what's important, is the belief systems and the emotional charge that's connected to them.
Okay, so that you have to be willing when you're going into a meditative state.
To the breath work.
And I know the music that you play is incredible. Like the music that when she's doing these things is like tribal music, and it gets your emotions really flowing, and
well, there's a lot of connection to the drums and trance. And so when you're going into trance and you're doing the breath work to make things flow,
right.
then you're sort of doing a double
attack.
Yeah, because
it feels almost like that.
But trance is subconscious, so then you go to where you need to go.
Right.
And you can't think your way back to some of these things.
Oh,
and
good.
The emotional aspects of the breath that allows a releasing in that way, you're dealing with both of that.
Right.
So the breath will take you to where you need to go in the trance state.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's the continuous breath. So that's just like breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Or there's the different patterns of breath during also, right? There's different patterns that go on.
Again, I definitely suggest, if people are interested, they take a class.
Yes, definitely.
Because then there's
definitely.
a lot of supervision, and you don't want to be hyperventilating. It's just taking the time to come and
that's why there's the flow, right? The flow of different types.
It's definitely something that can be done at home. So it's not like they have to take a class once they learn the technique. It's very accessible. Yeah.
But I would suggest that you do it in an educated way, because I think if anybody just started doing what you do without being guided by somebody like you who knows what's going on, you could hyperventilate.
Well, there's a certification and a process.
Is that
to
okay?
Becoming a breath facilitator.
Oh.
And so my website is laughingoak.com.
Yeah.
And if people are interested, I know of other facilitators, especially all over Alberta.
Okay,
and
good.
So if people aren't in my area, I'd definitely be happy to provide names of other people.
Okay.
But I think it's an incredible experience.
It really, it definitely was for me. I couldn't get off the floor. It was like such a process. It was great. So let's talk about meeting your angelic guides. I think that's another thing that is one of the meditations.
Okay, so that's a different class. So in my 5-week meditation class, I do the 5 different kinds of meditations. So the first one is going deeply inwards and tuning in to connecting with guides and spirit guidance. And then the other one is showing people how to raise their vibration, and that's more about like empowerment. So it's just looking at two different aspects of meditation.
Right.
And then of course I do my breath meditation. That's one of them. And then I do the safe place of tranquility where you get to meet your guides. And so that is like one of the states, because there's actually, again, you're going into somewhat of a trance, but there's a very neat continuum between being in trance, and then you have your imagination, and then there's the part where you have like higher beings, like your angels, who want to come in and connect to you. And at the point where you're in trance through, and you have the connection through visualization,
Right.
then that's where they can communicate best to you, and you can receive their communication. So it's really
So
quite
when
neat.
they're communicating, okay, so we're connecting with our angels. I think people should take the go see you if they want to know a little bit more about that. But how do you hear them? Is
Well, in the
there, like, you know, if they want to come talk to you, is it like big visions, or is it, you know, I think everybody might be different.
everyone's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I find that it's almost like a knowingness. It's almost like you can feel there's a present and a knowingness that these thoughts that are not your thoughts are coming clearly into your mind.
And I think
Clearly,
that's
clear vision, clear thinking, clear communication with yourself almost is what it feels like, is that you're getting this clear communication with yourself.
So I do feel that there's a very nice, there's a really, one of the things that you said, which I think is excellent, is that you're gaining insight that you wouldn't have had yourself.
Right.
And so then you know that came from outside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the more you go in and connect, you can differentiate between your own imagination and messages that are given to you. And so I think that's one of the most important aspects of processing it.
Of receiving, learning when you're receiving information, is that you're getting visions, or you're getting thoughts, or you're seeing just things on your whiteboard that are not yours. You didn't think it up, you know. I didn't know I was going to Switzerland today, but you know, here I am, sort of thing. So relationships, we got a couple more here.
Okay, so then, there's a really powerful one where you go in and you can connect with someone who's alive. It doesn't have to be, actually. It can be someone who's passed over, but you're connecting on a soul-to-soul level.
Right.
And you're working through a conflict resolution exercise. And so then it's unbelievable, the results that come about with that.
Wow, that could really be helpful for a lot of marriages, and you know, if you can connect on a soul level rather than just in your head and with your physical daily ins and outs. If you can actually take that time to look inside and make that connection, that sounds amazing, because you know, everybody always talks about meeting their soulmate or their twin flame, to bring out the whatever it does, but you know, twin flames can be a difficult thing from what I've read, but it's also a growing period.
This isn't about twin flames, though.
No.
This is about connecting someone at a soul level.
Okay.
Instead of in the ego level.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that sounds like stuff we need to go. And then we have forgiveness.
Yeah, and that one is an unbelievable one as well. I use the Ho'oponopono, which is the Hawaiian prayer meditation.
I'm sorry, please forgive me.
Yeah.
What's the other one? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. And isn't there 4 of them?
There's 4.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is the results with that particular prayer has been outstanding, and so I've incorporated parts of that into the whole meditation in working with the forgiveness.
Wow. And I personally myself, I think to all healing, forgiveness is key. For me, I believe that once you release the garbage in your life, release the trauma, the hurt, the resentment, the regret, every negative emotion you can possibly think of, when you forgive it and the person, they no longer have power over you. And no matter how horrible they did of a terrible thing to you, if you forgive them, that power is gone. They don't, you know, I mean, you can still have the memories, but you don't have that pain anymore. You can still talk about it, but the pain has been released, and it's transforming myself. I think it's one of the greatest things a person could do for themselves is to forgive somebody who's hurt them.
Absolutely.
And, it doesn't really matter what they think, because you don't even have to tell them that you forgave them,
Well, it's interesting because the Ho'oponopono looks inwards as well.
Right.
So in the same way that the breath work and some of these other techniques, you're looking within yourself to see where the issues are coming and where they lie within yourself. And so
Right.
a whole part of that whole process is going inwards and releasing it as opposed to going outwards.
Right.
And that's one of the origins. So the doctor who used this meditation, and
Right.
he was in Hawaii, and he took over an institution that had the worst reputation in Hawaii at the time. It had the worst offenders. It had mental patients who had offended and committed crimes and had the highest turnover. It was like an awfully terrible place with high suicides. And he came in and he worked using this, and he took personal responsibility for the state of each of the people in there as part of it.
That's tough.
It's amazing. And so he would meditate on each individual patient without meeting with them.
Oh.
And within a year, every single person was released, or a few that remained were transferred, and the whole facility had to be closed down. That's how effective his work was.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is really proving that there's a collectiveness
It's
with all of us,
unbelievable.
like that we are all so connected. And if you think that we're not, then you need to study a little bit more, because no matter what you're thinking and what you're doing, you're affecting not only your own outcome, but you're also affecting the lives and others that you're thinking about and you're hurting, because that energy goes out to them too, and they can feel it. So it's very, very important to look into these things. I know we've gone through quite a lot of stuff really quickly here today.
Yes,
We just kind of took a whole thing through. So can you tell us a little bit about the courses and when they are offered and how to, when they are?
So go to laughingoak.com,
Okay.
www.laughing, LAUGHING, oak, OAK.com.
Okay.
And
Or
on-
just look back on Jess FM or Deb's Den
Yeah.
or even your page now, because I've tagged you to it too.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so that's my personal page. You should page
I did.
my business one.
I did. Okay.
Oh, okay,
I did.
yeah.
I don't know if I did the business
My
one, but I
personal
know.
one, you'll see like horses and my son and my cat and.
Well, I just did.
My business has like horses and my
okay.
Facebook page and,
Okay.
and things like that, but
right.
that's okay.
We'll have to do that after the show.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I run them consecutively, and so I typically always have these 3 main courses going on. I also
Okay.
have Friendship, which is food for the soul, and that's for anyone who's taken my courses for further development.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
and-
that sounds good. And this is mostly near the Crow's Nest Pass area then?
Yeah,
'Cause,
in Pincher Creek.
in Pincher Creek?
My station, it's actually called Pincher Station when you're north of the highway.
Oh,
So Pincher
okay.
Station's north of it, and if you turn south, you're in Pincher Creek.
Okay.
So it's all the same post office box at Pincher Creek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And
we'll look it
so-
up, and I think that it's probably on your website, right?
It is, in Edmonton.
Oh, okay.
I do them in Edmonton as well.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we do broadcast
Yeah.
worldwide here on Jess FM, so
Yeah.
that sounds good too. So, again, this is Deb. This is Deb's Den. I'm with Dana Rust, and we are on Jess FM, Jess TV in downtown Lethbridge. And right now, we're going to do a meditation. If you're ready for your
I'm ready.
meditation,
Yes.
Dana, we're going to get into that, and then we'll let you go on your day.
Okay, so how are we for time?
So we are at about 12 minutes.
Perfect.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So breathe in deeply
So I'm going to relax now. Oops.
all the way into your root chakra. Picturing your lungs and abdomen filling deeply with beautiful energy of love and light. Exhaling all that no longer serves you in mind, thought, and energy. Breathing in deeply as you follow your breath to a beautiful place of tranquility. Look around and see how the light shifts as it casts its beams of warmth and comfort. Exhaling all the tension that you are leaving behind as you begin your peaceful journey. Inhaling the sweet smell of nature and woods as you start to walk through a wide path in the beautiful cedar forest. You follow the path until you come to an ancient stone archway. The stone is gray, but has the most ornate, intricate carvings that only could have been created by a true master stonemason. You are drawn to the design work, as it seems to be exuding a warm, welcoming energy. You decide to continue on the path. Once you pass through the archway, all your worries and negative thoughts are left behind. In fact, you are overcome with a bewildering sense of peace. You continue down the wooded path, immersing yourself in the feeling of deep tranquility. In this new state of inner peace, you discover that your senses are heightened. The sounds of the birds singing become crystal clear and melodic. The smell of the sweet, musty earth where the new leaves are sprouting and the flowers are blooming is permeating the air around you. Even the colors surrounding you are filled with a vibration that seems somewhat musical. You are so absorbed as you embrace this new sense of wonder that you almost don't notice another extraordinary archway. This one is covered in ivy, and it is carved out of wood. Again, the carvings are intricate and delicate. Gorgeous scrollwork meanders up and around the edges of the ornately carved wood. After admiring the artistic creation and design, you decide to continue through this archway and travel further up this path of wonder. As soon as you continue, you again notice a shift within yourself. This time, you notice that your heart is filled with love and light. Any animosity that you felt toward anyone in your life has suddenly transformed into compassion and caring. You have developed a heightened sense of clarity and awareness about all living things in your environment. You continue to walk as you embrace the new sense of freedom you have from no longer carrying the burden of negativity with you. You realize that you are one with love and light. As you continue, you notice a crystal clear turquoise pond that is calling to you. You realize that in this place of safety and peace, you will be protected, and you decide to walk into the refreshing water. You step forward and descend down into the sandy depths of the water. You quickly realize that the temperature is refreshing and the water feels silky and clean. You take 2 more steps into the water, which is now at your waist level. Here you discover that there is a stone stairway nestled into the sand under the water. You decide to descend down the steps one at a time. You slowly move down the steps, down, down, down. You become aware that in this altered state, it will be perfectly safe for you to submerge yourself completely under the water. You will have no difficulty with breathing. It is like the water is oxygen to you. Because the water is crystal clear, you look around and you see a tunnel. You continue effortlessly toward the tunnel, and you see that inside it is dry and lit up with a cozy fireplace and wall sconces. You go inside and you realize this room has bookshelves and a big cozy armchair beside the fireplace. There are ornate bookshelves with many volumes of books, with beautiful gold backings, and the titles are written in calligraphy. You decide to curl up in the armchair and pull a cozy, soft blanket over you while you enjoy the warmth of the fireplace and the complete solitude of the room. Here you realize you can access your deepest memories and thoughts. You can go deeply within yourself and connect to higher powers for guidance and insight. You decide to visit with your true inner self in solitude. Now that you have gained clarity and insight, you feel comfortable and safe. You know that this cave always exists for you. You decide to make your way back up to the wooded path. You walk to the edge of the cave and make your way over to the stone stairway that lies under the crystal blue pond. You ascend the stairs one at a time, going up, up, up. As you break the surface, you feel grateful for the beautiful sunlight that quickly dries you off as you walk back toward the wooden archway, knowing that any time you can return to this place. Once you cross under the wooden archway, the feeling of love and light stays with you, although you become more aware of your surroundings, and you continue up the path to the ornate stone archway. You enjoy the invigorating scents, the warm sunlight as you continue up the path, coming back into awareness of the room that you were sitting in. Slowly breathe in and out as you wiggle your fingers and toes and open your eyes. Having journeyed within, you feel rested and serene.
Wow. That reminds me so much of what I did do this summer. And I just the place that I was, and it was just so easy to fall into that meditation for me. Plus, it's a beautiful thing to be able to relax your mind and just release and just listen to the sound of your voice and just follow and just imagine and see the stone and the wood and the trees. And when you said this, the cedar, I could just imagine opening up an old box that was my grandmother's or something, where the blankets were, or the old cedar trunk and stuff like that, and just connecting with old memories and just connecting with things. But being in the place where we're looking at the books, it's almost like you could put any kind of book in that place. And
yes, and I think it's really important that you can create this container, because you can go back to this place anytime.
Right.
You can start pulling your life books. You can start pulling
the Akashic Records.
Yeah, the Akashic Records. But you can tune within and you can just connect with guides. And I think it's so important to have that safe container.
Right.
And work,
I like the idea of going underwater and not being, being affected by this dimension, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's like moving from this dimension to the next dimension.
Yeah, each archway takes you to a different state.
Yeah.
And then going into the pond and then coming up in the cave where there's total solitude. Like, I just love that place.
I absolutely love that place, and I'm going to go there for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I do dream traveling and all those kinds of things too. So thank you so much for talking about those and the courses that you offer. I do have quite a few friends that are out in the Crow's Nest Pass area and stuff like that. I'll be definitely passing it on to them
Thank you.
and letting them know, because I do get questions from people saying, well, I would like to connect. So that would be good. I will send them your way.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And we will do some more sharing with us. We're going to share around. So, again, if you have a number, do you want to just say your number real quick, or would you rather them just go to the website and go through there?
780-966-3262.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that comes up as an Edmonton number, by the way.
It does.
I was like this morning, oh, Edmonton. Who's calling me from Edmonton?
I have a 403 number, but that goes directly to my cell, and you can text it as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of nice. My
Okay.
other number is more like a landline, so you can't text it. So I think
okay.
that's what. So a lot of people now just like to text,
Okay.
which is fine.
Will you be doing any work with the Spiritualist Center this semester? Or?
I have 3 breath meditations.
Okay, so people here in Lethbridge will actually have the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to come and do some breath work with you here in town.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what those dates are, or will I just have to inform them?
No, I have the second Thursday of February,
Okay.
the second Thursday of March, and then it goes to April 2nd.
Okay.
Not the second Thursday, April 2nd.
Okay.
And then I think actually I might do one in, I'm not 100% sure, I might do one in
Okay.
May, which is the second Thursday in May.
So we'll start
So
with
actually there might be
the
4.
first one will be the second February.
Thursday
The second Thursday
of February.
of February
Yes.
at the Spiritualist Center here in Lethbridge, which is at 425 11th Street South,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yes.
And there is a meditation tonight, which is at 5:30, which I'm going to try to head over there and be there on time. So we're going to wrap it up here, and thank you all for listening, and thanks for tuning in to Deb's Den, and look us up on the Spiritualist Center also, .ca, and there's all kinds of courses and things that we're offering there. If you want to check out, and Dana does do her breathwork classes there on Thursdays at 5:30 to 7, as I think probably about 10 to 7 probably, but about 5:30 to probably, was it 7 or 6:45?
5:30 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not every Thursday. It's
Oh,
the
okay.
second Thursday of. It's only once a
Yeah.
month.
But we still at the Spiritualist Center do have meditations every week too, so
That's
kind of
right.
what I'm saying. So
Mhm.
we're doing that too. And today we have Roger Metz coming in at 5:30. So I'm going to head off now, and thank you all for listening. Thank you, Dana, for coming in.
Thank you, Deb, for having me.
You're welcome, and you're welcome back anytime on Deb's Day.
Thank
And thanks. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Stay warm. And big wishes to everybody, to good things for everybody. And we are almost, are we still on air?
Nope.